225 years, 14 leaders from James to Daniel and 4 different Johns.
Archibald, Luther, Lawrence.
But there's one name that stands boldly against the rest, Carla Hayden.
To become the Librarian of Congress was really humbling because as a person of color, people who looked like me were forbidden by law to learn to read. Also, to be a woman in a profession that's been called a feminized profession was also something, the first woman. So it was really, I think, the culmination of seeing the hopes and dreams of so many people that came before me.
Carla oversees the world's largest library.
This is as I said, the birthplace of ideas and inspiration.
The Library of Congress.
This is the People's Palace.
Wow.
Palace of Books, it's called.
Home to over 173 million items, books, photographs, maps, sheet music.
The moments that take your breath away is when you see people actually using the library.
Those who spot Carla walking through the halls of this sprawling building.
Oh, hi. Nice to see you. Have a good time. The Gutenberg Bible. They have to turn the pages about every several months.
Know her as the 14th Librarian of Congress, but Baltimore remembers her by a different name, Director of the Enoch Pratt Free Library.
I still live in Baltimore.
Every day she makes the commute to D.C.
Baltimore is home, where everybody knows your name. When I first arrived in Baltimore, I heard so many Pratt Library stories. People would come up to me from all walks of life and say, "You're the new library lady."
From 1995 to 2018, she helped expand internet access and open the library's after-school center for teens.
That really started us thinking about what will young people 30 years from now say to a new Pratt Library director about what it meant to them.
Public libraries have long been called opportunity centers, a lifeline in the community. In 2015, following the death of Freddie Gray, riots erupted in the city. Businesses shuttered, but Carla kept the library doors open.
It was the only thing that was open at that time for anyone. To get on the computers, and one young man said, "Thank you so much because I need to fill out a job application online." And then he came back a couple of days later and said he had an interview. So that's why we said this community, all communities need a library, especially when there's a crisis.
Something she has fought strongly to protect at a time where controversy over banning certain pieces of literature has taken center stage.
We're in another era of attempts to limit what people can access. And so when we think about the phrase "free people read freely," that's really what we're talking about. Everyone has the right to make decisions for their own young people, but not for all young people.
She recalls the moments as a young girl when she recognized the gravity the library holds.
I was a little girl with pigtails in Jamaica, Queens, and my favorite place was the little storefront library across from the elementary school. And one day I went in and someone handed me this book called Bright April. And it was about a little girl who was brown, who had pigtails, who was a brownie. And I just loved it because it was the first time I saw myself in a book.
Bright April still sits on the shelves of Enoch Pratt Library.
I knew that the Enoch Pratt Free Library was legendary in terms of serving young people. They were the model for libraries all over the country.
From Baltimore to D.C.
The Library of Congress is our national treasure, and with Dr. Hayden at the helm, I know it is in excellent hands.
One of the proudest moments has been digitizing some of the items at the Library of Congress so that people who may not be able to make it in person can still access works online.
The papers of the NAACP and the Legal Defense Fund, but they hadn't been digitized. It had the papers of Hazel Scott, the piano player extraordinaire, that hadn't been lifted up so that people anywhere in the world could look and see Rosa Parks' peanut butter pancake recipe in her own hand.
What also gives Carla chills walking through the library's treasures gallery.
I knew that that was something that was dear to my heart, to introduce so many more people to something that's been here all along since 1800.
We hope you enjoyed that story from Bridging the Gap. To watch more great stories like this all in one place, click on the box right here.